Daniel Dennett's book, Elbow Room, is a great book, right? Where he says, the variety of free will is worth wanting. I mean, I think there are different kinds of free will. We want to get at fields of decision making within habit, to realize habit itself becomes a kind of delimitation of freedom, that one frees oneself as one cultivates certain kinds of habits. See, freedom itself is an ambiguous term. There's freedom to and freedom from. Sometimes I want to be free from constraint. Other times I want to be free to create something. And freedom to often comes from encumbering constraint, restraint, difference, difficulty. Oftentimes people become freed up and liberated in their humanity by struggle, by sacrifice, by discipline. Take a juggler, take a musician, take somebody who's really cultivated that freedom. I mean, next time somebody tells you they want to do their own thing, give them 5 balls and go, juggle 5 balls for me right now. Do that. Yeah, you're free to do that only to the extent you disciplined yourself into that capacity, and many things worth doing will take great amounts of discipline. And so this whole freedom thing, they're going to end up like the people in WALL-E, these fat, lazy, getting carted around. Somebody else is going to feed them a drink, or the people in Idiocracy. I don't know.
What a subversive message in that movie, WALL-E. I wasn't expecting that when I saw a Disney film, you know. But, I guess, I think of climate change as an issue that really forces us to deal with this issue of either individual rights on the one hand, or not only communal but global rights, because it seems that the world has shrunk to such an extent now because of globalization and industrialization that we share ecological problems in a way that we never could have imagined prior to this planetary age. So and a lot of the more libertarian-minded people, especially in America, see global warming as sort of this conspiracy to bring about global governance or something. And they're right. That's exactly why we would need some sort. I mean, global government sounds kind of spooky, but at the same time, we need to be organized on a planetary scale in some way, wouldn't you say, in order to combat things like the ecological crisis? I
mean, I think Marshall McLuhan, I believe he suggested that once Sputnik took the perspective and gave us the Earth itself as a kind of object seen, we all now wear humankind as our skin. I mean, there is this sense of, it's funny, this whole conversation, when you bring that up, man, it's like this whole conversation went full circle again on the problem of part and whole once it's been broken.
Yeah.
I wonder to what extent animals have to deal with continuously moving gestalt shifts on part whole. Do they have to deal with, at one moment, thinking of themselves as in their environment, and the next moment thinking of themselves as a citizen on the planet, and the next moment thinking of themselves as a worker at the job? I don't know. I mean, these sort of shifts, I think there's just a seamless, ongoing, unbroken installment in what's around them, right. And they very rarely happen to notice that they're there in addition to what's going on around them. Totally, it's sort of like in the same way, it's like you normally don't ever attend to your eyes until there's a speck on them, and then you rub on them. I think they almost live their lives kind of like our eyes see. There's occasional dysfunctions that bring momentary reflection and self-awareness, but it's not extended.
Some people have made similarities, or drawn out some similarities between an infant and animal consciousness, infant consciousness. When we're in the developing stage, beyond when this self-reflexive cause-effect kind of perception usually comes with about terrible twos, things start happening, I'm rebelling because I now am aware. There's now an I, a sense of I distinct, in other words, identified with the part now, then the whole. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it seems like a rite of passage to have another degree of appreciation for reconnecting to this oneness, I guess, this holistic, this part of the whole rather than just a part. But it seems you can see it from a new angle with maturity and growth and development. Mm-hmm. That seems to be from some of these some of the things that I've read seems to be the point of maturing from a human. It gives purpose for a human perspective that's qualitatively different than an animal's consciousness or perspective from what we've seen and how they demonstrate. As far as we can know,
we should be clear that I don't think any of us are saying something like what Descartes said, that animals don't have souls and they can't feel pain. And You know, so
I don't-
we should make clear that that's
Yes.
not what
not-
I know Corey was trying to say, or what either of us.
No,
were trying to say.
no, not at all. Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
No.
But
No, I mean, I think one way to get at what you just suggested, John, is it's the ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny is a classic expression. And I think it's true that each human undergoes a kind of rapid succession, metaphorically at least, a rapid succession of the developments that occurred in human evolution. But I think to that extent there is a misplaced comparison between animals and human baby, only because the baby, if it never learns language, it's actually impoverished, and so it's really at it's ontogenetically at a developmental stage yet. In its this is part of this importance of the distinctions between extans, lives, and exists, because we can start to see that. I mean, some things are partly defined in their being by stages of development being what they are.
right, it's almost like a child that doesn't learn language is almost missing an organ, right?
Yes. Yes, and it's. I think the thing that has mystified most people, and this is something that really people should get on, is that because they have become literate, and as literate, they assume a visual bias. They've missed how the senses were understood in the ancient world. If you go to the ancient world, the Stoics, right, and you recover the sort of ancient view, they understood speech as a kind of sense. It was an intersubjective sense. It was one that we shared, where you could see things as I'm seeing them through my speech, but it's because I look at you and then you look at me, and then we go, there's five senses, and we imagine that in each time, again, it's a sort of organism against its environment rather than a socio-historical event of a communal. I mean, we're missing what the proper whole is. The whole is not the individual. The collective is the whole.
Yes.
Right.
The collective is the whole. You don't have a face. Other people have yours. You're literally partly other people.
Yeah. And so these this dichotomy, identifying with the individual or identifying with the whole, seems to develop and manifest itself through political ideologies and economic ideologies as well. I mean, do you see it? I mean, do you see the balance?
Yes. Well, can I just? I want to make very clear. I'm not suggesting. I want to make this very clear. I am not suggesting that we're really a whole in the social, and then we're really an individual part, or that the individual is really real. The point is that it's ambiguous. The point is, look down, you have a navel. Your navel means you came out of other people. Somehow, sociality is part of you, even though you think you're separate.
Right.
You have to eat. Are you the food you eat? Well, now you'd say you're not, but you can't live without it. Are you the air? Now you're not the air, but you couldn't live without the air. Are your lungs really you, but the air's not you?
Yeah.
There's something suspicious going on.
Yeah.
And now I'm not trying to say that you are really all your environment. That's denying the fact that we're also separate. Arthur Koestler's notion of the whole on is very useful, and it's useful to retain ambiguity. It's fundamentally ambiguous. Language, culture are all forms of authoritative disambiguation that generate a guilt that largely goes unrecognized, and then scapegoating happens.
Right. I think it's difficult for many people to sit with such ambiguity because they want clean, quick, fast answers that, sharply divide up the world so that they can then, without having any sort of moral responsibility to constantly deal with these ambiguities, they just want to logically know from the, for all time that this is how it is. So they're not participating.
Matt, who could live without answering, why are we here, where did we come from, and will there be life after death, and does my life mean anything? Right. None of those have secure answers, and yet people flee to ideologies that say that they do have an answer for it.
Right. I would say it's as though there's no neutral ground, right? There's no place to stand without having somehow approached these questions.
You've always succumbed to an authoritative disambiguation, and then you repress that because there's a terror in the ambiguity.
Right. All right. Well, I think we should probably wrap it up. I think we've got about.
Oh, well, that was fun.
It was a lot of fun. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really fun.
Perfect discussion for this channel, I believe.
Yeah. No, we covered a lot of great things.
We went over.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, hey, seriously, thank you so much. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have it up later this evening, so you can take a look.
Okay.
See you next
thanks.
time.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.